Oh, with that, go Quakers. All right. Good morning. Thank you. I don't think there are too many Ivy League guys in construction, but I'm one of them. So anyway, I'd like to thank Kevin, Bill Brown, General President Dean, and everybody that's making this event possible. In my career, 35 plus years, it's good to see how we're coming together in a tripartite manner to address some of the real issues that we face. So the presentation I have will be uploaded. There's more content than I should fit into about a 20-minute discussion, so I'm going to go through it fairly quickly. And my contact information is there, so don't hesitate to reach out to me if you'd like more information on what we're doing. So with that, Neuter's journey. Coming back from overseas in 1993, I noticed a huge step change in emphasis on safety from industrial owners that I was used to dealing with. They were much more interested in metrics that I barely even knew existed, like EMRs, experience modification rates, TRIRs, total recordable incident rates. Before I went overseas, if your lost time incident rate wasn't that high, you were in pretty good shape. Joining Neuter in the mid-90s, we felt we had a robust program. Our TRIR was a little over 1. Our EMR was a little over 1. Today, that wouldn't even get us on bidder's list. We were forced to challenge ourselves and really take a hard look at our programs. We realized that we needed to elevate safety and quality to be our core values, and that we needed a robust program and to drive exceptional safety performance. We had to connect better with our field personnel. Safety supervisors are no longer safety cops. That drove itself to supervision. So Mr. Brown's comments earlier are spot on and well aligned with the way we think as well. It is up to supervision to drive the safety performance on the job site. We had to have a practical approach in a consistent manner, and we had to embrace performance and learning. So with that, there are 3 programs I'm going to give a short overview of that we believe are central to the safety program that we have in place and the results we're achieving. Again, I'm just going to give a brief overview, and these are what we believe help us manage and sustain our performance. And that's our Neuter Management System, NMS, our Positive Awareness Coaching and Teamwork Program, PACT, and our Safe Worksite Assessment Teams, which is SWAT. So everybody needs to have good acronyms these days. So NMS, we broke down our work into about 36 key processes that demonstrated how we did our work. Safety and quality are central throughout just about all of the key processes and actually account for 1/3 of all the processes that we have developed. And it applies to all aspects of our business. In essence, it's say what you do what you say, prove it, and improve it. So when we find instances where we aren't following our processes, we either have to have a corrective action to address the nonconformance, or in some instances, we realize that the process needs to be changed. PACT. I think this is central to the step change improvement we've seen over the last 25 years. We train supervision and safety expectations. We won't do it if we can't do it safely. The bullets that you see, sorry about that. Here we go. The bullets that you see are a brief outline of some of the content that we train our supervisors in, from general health and safety plans through job safety analyses, focused audits, how we perform lessons learned, all the way through to critical lift plans and an overview of our safety manual. It helps us with decentralized management and leadership, which a key component of that is good communication up and down the organization. It assists supervision with addressing situational awareness, activities or situations that come up on the job and how to address them. and it improves their self-awareness of some of their strengths and weaknesses, how to utilize their strengths, and through training and other programs, improve some of the areas of weakness. It's a continual reinforcement of expectations. We are here to support you, and we're all in this together. PACT is a fairly scalable program. It's my and our company's expectation that every supervisor on every job is PACT trained. So you can imagine on a job site, we all work in a union environment. There are times when the foreman may not be there, so you have an upgraded foreman. It's my expectation that we've already identified who the upgrade will be, and that upgrade is also trained. I've had general foremen come up to me and say, well, what if they're both not there? I said, that's up to you, but you will not run a crew unless that crew has a PACT-trained supervisor. So we have instances where the entire crew, including apprentices, have gone through our PACT training, and we believe it's to the benefit of them and to the work that they do. Safe worksite assessment teams. It's essentially a cold eye review. It is also a voluntary program in our organization. So I have to request from our global director of safety to have a SWAT performed. Right now I'm having a SWAT performed at a major refinery in the Northeast. They bring in a crew of 3 or 4 people that come in from other regions around the country, and they will validate expectations, including their expectations that I'm doing my job when it comes to promoting, enforcing, implementing, and reinforcing safety. So they observe management involvement, they evaluate employee training, they look at hazard prevention, they'll analyze the work site, and they test employee engagement. Yesterday on the site, they did a site-wide audit, and today they will engage in interviews with our employees as well as with some of the client's leadership. Tomorrow we'll have a closing conference with the customer and share our results with them that will be followed up in a couple of weeks with a written report. It's full disclosure. We give total visibility to the customer over our strengths and our weaknesses, what we're doing well and what we need to improve upon. We feel that that in itself also makes us meet that bar because we're exposing ourselves to our client from the standpoint of how we're performing from a safety perspective. Again, it's observation, interviews, and active participation. On this SWAT, it's always the director of corporate safety, as well as, in this instance, it's the head of our QC and welding department. We have a director of operations, and we have a regional safety supervisor, all from outside my region. It's, again, more reinforcement. We're here to support, and we're all in this together. Neuter today, you're beginning with the end in mind. As I said earlier, it's embrace, implement, enforce, reinforce. I think another telltale sign of our programs are we give out very little discipline. In my mind, a disciplined workforce needs less discipline. So when you state your requirements and you bring everyone into the programs, you explain why we're doing it, that we've found that over the years there's less disciplinary action against employees, which again I think is another telltale sign that the program's working. So it's embraced throughout our entire organization. It starts in the pre-contract phase. Our business development people are trained in safety aspects. They engage the client on safe work practices. If we get involved with constructability and budgets, we're working that into the customer. We're working it into their scopes that they may eventually put out on the street for bids. It's incorporated into our proposal offerings, the final contract. So again, throughout the entire life cycle of a project, from pre-contract to closeout, we ensure that we keep safety at the forefront. I have a weekly staff meeting. We kick off the meeting with safety. We talk about safety on every open contract in my region. We also have a safety committee at Neuter. Bernie Wickline, my boss, started it about 27 years ago, and that safety meeting is all neuter construction companies and major offices. That monthly meeting is tomorrow. There will likely be 70 people on the call. And it's a very structured program where we go through safety performance, and we have various other components of it. We do lessons learned, we do employee recognition, we may talk about an incident. I myself had a rigging incident, a near miss in our organization about 2 years ago with the failure of a sling on a tailing crane. So here, full visibility, right? That will be a major component of the job. Or not the job, it'll be a major component of the safety meeting tomorrow that will be a corporate-wide meeting. We'll have a discussion. We've done a root cause analysis. We've taken a look at our programs. We will get it into our rigging engineers, and we'll take a look if we need to have any policy changes as a result of this. There was no property damage. There was no employee injuries, but we're just not satisfied that we had that type of failure on this lift. Okay. All right. Prioritize and execute. You'll see up here some of the components of, that must be sustained. I won't read them all, but in essence, we're driving. The motivation is not to find fault, but to learn and improve. So I think these should look familiar to most of you in the room. Everything from kickoff meetings through toolbox talks, tent talks. We're doing more lunch and learns with our supervision. We'll take a topic, and over lunch and maybe a half an hour beyond, we'll dive deeper into that subject to ensure that we're doing some continual learning with the supervision throughout the project. Major focus area, again, is on the elimination of incidents. Once an incident starts, the outcome is either good luck or bad luck. Our people hear me talk a lot of time about the 6-inch rule. I'm sure a lot of people in here have worked on the tools. Sometimes the difference between a near miss and a fatality is 6 inches or less. So stopping the incident from happening is a key component of a safer program and for the safety of your employees. We expect to achieve zero and lagging indicators, LTAs, recordables, first aids. We talked about the ZISO awards. We're very honored to be selected along with Sunoco Logistics and the Philadelphia Building Trades for our work. In that ceremony, both RMF Neuter and Neuter Construction Philadelphia were honored, and between us there were 5 projects in the United States that were represented with over 3.1 million safe work hours. So it's an expectation across all of our companies and all of our regions that we strive for zero and look how we can achieve it. And in 2017, multiple contracts were worked without first aids or recordables, including some major unit turnarounds. We had a turnaround in Delaware where not only we achieved zero first aids or property damages, there was zero on the project. That means the other contractors and the owner, there were zeros across the board. It's probably one of the first times I've ever been involved with such a major project where there were no reported first aids, property damages by the owner or all contractors at site. Our EMR, we typically are in the 4s, 0.4s. This year we're at 0.44. We're regularly now, we talked about earlier where we were over a 1, we're regularly now in the 0.35 or less. In 17, Neuter, the family of companies, we ended the year at a 0.29. 3 of our companies were at zeros. So we're seeing good results come out of this focus. Also, I didn't bring it with me, but we do in the weekly staff meeting, we review all of our incidents. So I just grabbed a typical month, and in 1 month recently, we had 2 auto incidents, 4 first aids, and 111 good catches. So we probably averaged 350 to 400 people in the field that month, and that's the kind of high-level outcome that we saw. So incident elimination, right, it makes good business sense. It's costly mentally, physically, and financially. You take a look at the employee and family suffering through to the job site disruption, staff and support required to manage claims. It just makes really good business sense, especially to me on the employee and family elimination of suffering. So, some more about Ziza. If I have a couple minutes, I'll go through this. Sunoco Logistics. The Sunoco refinery in Marcus Hook was closed in 2011 after 100 years of operation. And in about 2014, after they had demolished a lot of the plant, they started to rebuild. We came in early. In 15, we were in what was referred to as Mariner East 1, which was the reversal of a pipeline to bring product east. And then in 16 and 17, we participated in Mariner East 2 and Project Revolution. Again, it's gas gathering and separation. Some of that work continues on today. They're completing the remaining pipelines across Pennsylvania to bring more product into Philadelphia. So some of the numbers on the structural steel side, with Local 451, we put in place over 130,000 iron worker hours. It was about 4,500 tons of steel. We will direct hire when it's more of an integrated erection. In this instance, it was, and I'll show you pictures later, pipe racks where the mechanical and electrical instrumentation were installed. If we get into build-outs that aren't integrated with process, we will typically subcontract that work to a local area ironworker contractor. So again, this will be in your handouts, but these are some of the numbers. To date, we're up to over 2.1 million hours at site without an incident. So here we go. This is an energy infrastructure project. It is a significant investment. Sunoco Logistics, now Energy Transfer, has invested over $9.1 billion in this project. It's gas gathering from Marcellus and Utica shale gas coming in pipelines across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. They gather the gas in Marcus Hook and separate it into butane, ethane, and propane. A lot of the product is going offshore, and it's definitely an example of the strength of the union building trades to produce a project such as this with such a low incident rate from a safety standpoint and such high caliber schedule compliance and quality compliance. As an example, we performed over 300 pneumatic tests, a lot of them overseen by the Coast Guard. So there was a heck of a lot of oversight and requirements with DOT and others on the project. This is Marcus Hook. The white area is where Mariner East 1 and 2 are located. You can see there's still some tankage, but there's a lot of available room for future expansion. If you want to take a look at it, there is a publication from GPEAT, which is part of the Philadelphia Chamber. It's a committee I'm on called A Pipeline for Growth. It talks about the investment in energy infrastructure that comes from the positive exploitation of this type of gas product. Here you go. So I don't know if I can, I think you can pick the steel out. The racks between the pipes, very instrumental in this project, and the load out to the ships, which you can't really see at the bottom of the screen. But again, over 4,000 tons of steel. I flew out of Philly the other day, and there was a ship loading up to go to Europe. Again, it's a little different. It's not very vertical. We're mainly in a horizontal build-out and very integrated with the mechanical electrical instrumentation systems. So you can see here 1 to 5 tier racks, and again, about 4,500 tons of steel. There's our group with the Ziza banner, 1.3 million hours, currently up to about 800,000 hours. And in the background, you can see one of the racks that is taking product out to the ship loadout. So with that, I'd like to thank you. Thank you very much.